Welcome back. Today we're doing a box opening video, but rather than spend 15-20 minutes opening the box and poring over a new model, I thought I would have a look back at something that has a great deal of meaning to me and reflect a little bit on the collecting side of the hobby and how it can play a part, I suppose. Because it's all too easy, isn't it, to dismiss those who just buy models in boxes and place them on their layouts. Perhaps even buy models in boxes and never really get them out. Somehow those individuals aren't engaging in the hobby in the way that those of us who build model railways can understand. But when I went and got this out of the cupboard, this is an old Lima Class 59. It's the last Lima model I bought, probably mid-90s, something like that. And I say bought, it was probably bought for me. When I went to get this out of the cupboard, there's a real energy, excitement, a connection point to childhood maybe, but also still the same sort of energy and excitement you get when you take a new model out of a box, you know? And sometimes that's enough, isn't it, you know? And isn't that a wonderful thing? Isn't that an amazing thing that we can be excited about taking a new toy out of the box? Well, maybe it's not that amazing really. It's that wonder, isn't it? So, you know, today's models have all the bells and whistles, and so the child within us now gets excited perhaps about DCC sound or, you know, separately applied sort of brake chains and things like this. But the energy that can be created by the wonder, the potential of these models and our imagination is magic. And so whilst, you know, it's not going to change the way I do things, I'm certainly never going to just become a collector. My good friend Steve is just a collector, and he absolutely loves just buying models. And he's okay with that. And you know what? I'm okay with that. And I think it's amazing, you know? And when I hold this again and remember the feeling of getting out of the box, I completely understand that feeling. That it's the potential, isn't it? It's the potential of where these things can take us. And so I suppose they're a little box of dreams, aren't they? There's a bit of a story, I suppose, for me, why this one in particular is so special. I remember when the General Motors Class 59s were first introduced in the UK and they started to appear in the magazines and in the press, and there was a lot of excitement. You know, I've got a copy of BR Traction in Colour 2. It was a book I used to get out of the library. And in here there's a picture of one in service. I remember the articles in Railway Modeller as well, by I think Len Vass, starting to talk about how he was building all the sort of rolling stock that Yeoman and ARC were using. And it definitely caught my imagination. And I think not only because it was shiny and new, but also because I was familiar with the SD42s that I'd seen in Canada when I'd visited as a child. And so there was a connection between something that I found very exciting and interesting overseas being brought home. And I remember begging my dad to take me to Myriad Quarry. We used to drive fairly close to it on my way down to my grandparents', but it still must have been a sort of hour out of the way. We drove, I remember parking just after the bridge that goes over it's like a public highway. It goes over the entrance to the quarry, and on one side of the bridge you've got massive long sidings where the loading chutes are, and then the other side is a sort of interchange, and I think there might be a triangle or something where the depot is. And the thing is, you know, as a child I'd not seen any photos apart from those taken in within the works itself, and I was just absolutely dying to see one of these in the flesh. I still, even to this day, have not seen a real Class 59. Which is saying something, isn't it? That day, didn't see one. Didn't even see the switcher, the EMD switcher that sort of trundles around as well. Didn't see anything moving, just saw some lines of wagons. Took some photos, can't find them, but I know I took them. But that getting this out of the box reminded me of that experience as well. So, you know, perhaps when you're flicking through the latest releases from a manufacturer and something just sort of grabs you and you're not perhaps quite sure why it's grabbed you, and you think, oh, I'm no box collector, that doesn't fit with anything else I've got already. Maybe it's okay to indulge every now and again in a bit of, modelling in this way. Just getting something because it either reminds you of something or excites you, or there's an energy in there, isn't there? I absolutely love this hobby. I love the way it can connect us through the physical things to like a model to the real world, and we articulate that in technical terms quite often, don't we? Oh, it's a 1/76 scale model that runs on 16.5mm track. It's more than that. We don't really have the language to explain why it's a connection, but there's something going on in here, and when we meet other people who understand it, it's almost like we don't need to say it, and so the hobby becomes a conduit for those of us who perhaps find it harder to talk a little bit about how we feel within the world. So, you know, I absolutely love this hobby. Anyway, I probably waffled on. This is a totally left field video. There's not a single piece of operation. I wonder what models you've still got from periods of your life, or what models you bought recently that excite you in the same way. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, and until next time, see you again soon.